Good morning again, guys. It's still Thursday, and was thinking about something this morning. Mrs. P and I were talking here. You know, a lot of us have talked to, many times about don't watch what's going on here. Watch what's going on here because we're hiding something over in this hand. So, I go back with this whole thing on Afghanistan, what's transpired here over the last week for all intents and purposes. And I relate it to what happened with the Soviet Union when they went back into Afghanistan 30 years ago. And I've mentioned many times how foolish it was for us to go into Afghanistan. I mean, we should have been out of Afghanistan 19 years ago, okay? Bin Laden was gone, the end, okay? And, again, doing all this nation building crap, trying to be the world's police force, which, sorry, it's not our responsibility. And yeah, I'm ex-military, right? But, let's look at some of the parallels between the Soviet Union pulling out in 1989 and the U.S. pulling out in 2021, okay? In 1989, the Soviet economy was on the brink of collapse. So is the U.S. economy. Okay, we can all pretty much agree with that. The stock market looks great, except for yesterday, and apparently today it looks like it's going to take another bloodbath. But we all know inflation and everything like that. So, the U.S. economy is in the toilet. In 1989, Gorbachev was Soviet premier, and he was trying to change communism to kind of instill a little bit of capitalism. Okay, he was trying to make a fundamental change in the way that politics worked in the Soviet Union, stopping the complete collective where the country would allow and support small business, et cetera, okay? And 2 years later, after pulling out of Afghanistan, the country went through, the Soviet Union collapsed, okay? What do we have going on here? Same thing, just opposite way. We have the Biden administration, the entire Democrat Party, trying to take capitalism and put more elements of socialism in it, going the other way from what Gorbachev did. And again, 2 years after trying this, Soviet Union collapsed. Okay. Now, you take a look at some of these things and go, what else was going on in the Soviet Union at the time that things fell apart? Okay. Well, the people weren't happy. Life expectancy was going down. Same thing happening here. Population of citizens was going down. Same thing happening here. Okay, we saw the census report. The only reason the population of the United States is going up is because of immigration. It's not because of childbirth. Let's put it that way. The other thing is, and this is more likely, I mean, that's all historical probability, okay? But this is what I think is going on. And again, don't watch what this hand is doing because something's going on over here. What does Washington know? What do the Joint Chiefs know about what's going on? Is it time to move assets, troops, I'd say equipment, but we left it all over there, okay, to somewhere else that is a bigger concern, i.e. maybe Taiwan? Now, we know that the U.S. deployed some submarines out there the other day. We know that China is really making a push toward Taiwan. We've seen all the Chinese saber rattling, if you will, against Australia, telling them stay out of it. We've seen the Chinese threaten to nuke Japan if they got into it. The DMZ, North Korea, South Korea is right on the cut. I mean, right over the border, and poof, you've got Kim Jong-un's troops that could feasibly come over. Granted, we have military on the DMZ, but I mean, for what, the last 5, 6, 7 years, they've been testing, North Korea been testing missiles, and North Korea is a satellite of China. Okay, no big deal there. So you get a lot of threats coming in from the Chinese that I wonder if the U.S. is kind of moving military assets around just in case something happens, or when, I think it's better not if, but when something happens in Taiwan. Now, if I'm the Taiwanese, I'm paranoid because we have, the biggest coward in the history of the United States running the country right now. So, Biden couldn't figure out military strategy if he was playing a game of, I don't know, Battleship. But that's something to think about, And then you go to the other side of the economics on this out of China. And if anybody noticed yesterday, Xi Jinping has tried to take the country further onto the communist path. Okay, we all know that you have Chinese billionaires. Use Jack Ma's example. Right? And Xi Jinping is talking about a redistribution in wealth in China. Gee, where have we heard that before? Okay, taking from the rich and giving to the poor. Now, of course, we all hear the stories of the 1% in the United States owns half the asset, more money than the bottom 50% or whatever it is. And I mean, I guess in China, it's like the 1% holds 20% of the assets or whatever. But do you notice how nobody ever defines rich? Okay. And if anybody knows what the AMT is, the alternate minimum tax, if you have this on your tax returns, they have to put a Band-Aid on that every year because it was originally came out in the 70s and it was never adjusted to inflation. Well, in the 70s, if you made, I think the original figure was like $70,000, you were subject to the AMT. Well, that was never adjusted for inflation. So they have to put a fix into that every year. So we, the United States, is still operating under the premise, at least via the AMT, that $70,000 is rich. No, it's not. Sorry, okay? You might be crawling up into the middle class area there. Probably high-end, low middle class, maybe low-end middle class. All right? But we get the same thing here, is let's rob from the rich and steal from the poor. But define rich. Is rich $70,000? Is it $100,000? Is it $250,000? Where is it? Okay. We saw in the stimulus packages, okay, when we got the checks, it was what? Any individual that made over $75,000 or any couple that had more than 150 didn't get a check or got a reduced check. So that's what they're defining as rich, guys. So anybody that makes more than that, under communist theory, okay, kind of what Xi Jinping is putting in with Bernie Sanders and AOC and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and all these lovely people promoting is take from the rich and give to the poor. Oh, would the poor be the 2 million illegals coming in across the border this year that's projected? Would the poor be the 200,000 Afghanis that they want to bring in that now they don't even need a passport, let alone even say that they're going to be vetted by any means? They're just going to allow to come in and go. Okay. This is stuff to think about, guys. All right. What is really going on with this hand? Keep an eye out, keep an ear out, keep using this thing, okay? Because the more we think, the better prepared we are. The more we're sheep and just listen to whatever they tell us, the more they're just going to run roughshod over us. Have a good Thursday. Pinball out.